Welcome, parents. We are so glad you're here. We wanted to give you a quick look inside the Who Do You Say I Am curriculum. This whole thing is really designed to partner with you as your teen starts to wrestle with some of those big, important questions about their faith, their identity, and, where they fit in this world. Okay, let's jump right in.
So, we've got this broken down into 4 parts. First, we're going to talk about the big question, the why behind this whole series. Then we'll look at the faith-filled framework. That's the how. After that, we'll walk through the 6-session journey, the what your teen will actually be doing. And finally, we'll talk about your role at home, which is maybe the most important part of all.
All right, first things first, why this conversation? And maybe more importantly, why now? Why is this so incredibly crucial for your teen in this season of their life? Let's get right to the heart of it.
Everything we do in this curriculum is really anchored in this absolutely beautiful vision from the book of Revelation. I mean, just picture it, a massive, diverse crowd from every nation, every tribe, every language, all united. This is God's end game. It's the picture of what he's building, and it's what we want our students to get a taste of right now.
And this vision, it's not just some far-off dream, it's becoming more and more our reality. Look at this number, 276%. That is the staggering increase in the number of people who identified as multiracial in the last census. It's just a huge reminder that our teens are growing up in a beautifully diverse world, and that makes these conversations not just nice to have, but absolutely essential.
So, the big question is, how in the world do you guide a teenager through these deep, sometimes complicated topics? Well, the curriculum is built on a really thoughtful framework, one that creates a safe, faith-centered path for them to explore and ask their questions.
One of the core ideas is this phrase, unity, not uniformity. You can think of it like what Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 12 with the body of Christ. The goal isn't to erase all our differences and make everyone exactly the same. No way. It's about celebrating the fact that our unique stories, our cultures, our backgrounds, they are all essential, God-given parts that make the body of Christ stronger and more complete.
And the way we teach this is really cool. It's a method called the story braider. Just imagine braiding 3 strands of hair together. The first strand is the big, overarching story of God that we find in the Bible. The second strand is your teen's own personal story, their experiences. And the third strand is a story of our community, right here where we live. When you weave those 3 together, faith becomes so much more personal, real, and relevant.
And every single session follows this really intentional 3-part rhythm. First, we build awareness. We just want to learn about a topic and see it clearly. Then we create space for lament, which, is a really biblical practice of just being honest with God about the brokenness and the hurt we see in the world. And then we always end with celebration. We look for and we celebrate where God is at work, his faithfulness, his goodness, even in the middle of the hard stuff.
All right, so now you know the why and the how. Let's get into the what. What exactly will your teen be walking through? Here's a quick look at the 6 sessions.
We start right at the beginning, with our identities. This first session is all about laying that foundation, exploring this amazing dual truth, that every single one of us is made in the image of God, and we each have these incredibly unique stories and experiences that have shaped us. This really sets the stage for everything else.
And this is so important for you. After every single session, you're going to get a parent cue sheet that looks just like this. It's basically a cheat sheet. It'll give you a little snapshot of what they talked about and, more importantly, a few super simple, no-pressure questions you can use to start a conversation at home.
In Session 2, we dig into our origin stories. We look at how things like family history, moving, and migration are not just part of our stories, but they're a huge theme all through the Bible. These journeys, big and small, are a major part of who we are.
And the parent cue for this week is so great. It actually encourages you to do things like pull out a map and trace your own family's movements. It even has a prompt to talk about how Jesus himself was a refugee, which is such a powerful way to connect your own story to God's bigger story. Next up, we dive deep into culture. And for this, we use this amazing image of an iceberg. Because, with an iceberg, you only see the small tip above the water. Culture is just like that. We see the food and the music, but the really powerful stuff, the values, the beliefs, is all hidden below the surface, and that's what really shapes how we see everything.
And of course, the parent guide for this session helps you talk about your own family's iceberg. What are some of those below-the-surface traditions or unwritten rules in your home? How have they shaped the way your family lives out your faith?
Now, this journey doesn't shy away from the hard stuff. Session 4 talks about rejection and resilience. It really creates space to talk about the real pain that comes from being excluded or hurt. And then we look at stories in the Bible, like Hagar and even Jesus, to see how God meets us right in the middle of that suffering and builds a deep resilience in us.
As you can imagine, the cue sheet for this one is designed with a ton of care. It offers really gentle ways to open up a conversation about hard times and about finding God's presence even when things are tough.
From there, we zoom in a little closer to home and talk about our neighborhoods. We explore how the places we live have been shaped by history, and we talk about what it means to be like Jesus, to be bridge builders who cross divides and love our actual neighbors really, really well. And the guide for this one is super practical. It might encourage you to literally drive a different way home or walk through a part of town you don't normally see, all just to start a conversation about what it looks like to be a boundary crosser for Jesus right where you live.
Okay, and finally, we bring it all together. The whole journey concludes with this question of our response. It's all about action. The big question is, now what? Now that we've talked about all this, how do we use our unique God-given stories and identities to love each other better and to build a church where truly everyone feels like they belong?
The last cue sheet really helps bring this home. Literally, it helps you focus the conversation on what unique gifts your family has to offer and how you can use those gifts to bless your church and your community.
Which brings us to our final and honestly most critical piece of the puzzle, your role in all of this. This curriculum was not just created for your teen. It was created with you in mind, to give you the tools you need to be their most important guide on this journey.
Those parent guides we've been showing you are your best friend here. They're packed with simple conversation starters, fun activities you can do together, and really easy prayer prompts. And please, hear this. The goal is not for you to have all the answers. Not at all. The goal is simply to create a safe space for conversation, for questions, and for discovery together.
So, we'll just leave you with this question from the guide to get you started. What's one new thing you've thought about just from hearing this overview? We are so excited to be on this journey with you and your family. We truly believe these conversations can change everything.